Hey guys, Carl from Perfect Misplaced. Today I'm taking a preview look at a prototype copy of the newest solo-only game from Button Shy Games. Actually, this time not part of the Simply Solo line. This is Glass Garden from designer Roshni Patel and, as I mentioned, publisher Button Shy Games. This is a solo-only card game, obviously, Button Shy 18-card wallet game that's a bit of a spatial puzzler that you're trying to sort of line up resources to grow succulents in a glass garden, ultimately trying to score the most points by the end of the game. Now, of course, disclaimer, as a preview copy or a preview of a prototype copy, I was given advance access to this game by the publisher, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a game of Glass Garden, begin by taking the left side bottle pieces, black side up. You'll see the other side is lighter side, black side up, placing them off to the side of the play area. Next, you need to select the insect that you will be playing, or the critter card for the game that you are playing. I have so far played with the fly and the snail, so I'm going to keep those out and pick one of the ant and worm cards at random. For this play, I will be playing with the worm. I'm going to set that card such that this double arrow is pointing to the right, and that gets put right here next to the bottle in what's basically the first slot of the play area. Then I'm going to take the the 8 plant cards, making a row of them to the right of that critter. Shuffling them, of course, before placing them out. And then finally, on the other side, placing the other half of the bottle, again, black side up. And with that, we are all set up to play a game of Glass Garden. Glass Garden is going to play out over a series of rounds, which should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if I believe I'm counting correctly. And in each round, we're going to sort of follow the phases as printed on this critter card. So you'll see first I'm going to take 2 actions, which is going to be moving any card up or down in rows, which I'll explain in just a second, or shifting, and it says here not past the critter, shifting a card as far as I want to in the direction shown by the arrow. Then after that, I'm going to grow succulents, again, which I'll show you on the cards in just a second, by meeting the cost of that succulent, flipping it over, performing whatever effect it says on the bottom of that card. And if I can do more than one of them in a round, then I will do more than one of them. Then next, the critter will do damage to my plants. And this one says all plants in the 3 closest columns on the right side will get damaged. And I just realized that this one's going to be like super difficult level, but we'll see what happens because he's doing damage to 3 plants. But anyway, next, shifting right and flipping. So this critter is going to move to the next spot in the line, flipping over, and you'll see now that it's attacking the plants on the left side, and I'm shifting to the left side. So it's going to be alternating right, left, right, left, right, left every round as we play. And I'll explain how each of those steps works as I go through each of them. And I did say that this is going to be very tough, but actually it may not be, because the other critter that I played with damaged something each turn, and it was sort of guaranteed that it was going to damage. This one is not guaranteed, it's just checking 3 columns, but I'm getting ahead of myself. You'll see what that means in just a second. So, what am I trying to do? You'll see that each of these succulent cards has some kind of resource type or set of resource type that needs to be all sort of adjacent to each other in order to trigger this card. And when it does, it will flip over, turning into a succulent, and it will do whatever it shows at the bottom of the card. At the end of the game, I'm going to score 1 point for every succulent that's in the middle or bottom row, or 2 points if it's in the top row. Also, when a card becomes a succulent, if it is adjacent to a black bottle, that black bottle is going to flip over to its light side. Also, it's worth mentioning adjacent passes through the critter, meaning if this card were to turn into a succulent, it would trigger this bottle despite the critter being there. And I should be careful with my vocabulary in this game. Adjacent does mean cards that are directly next to each other. In the case of this card here, it's also adjacent, as I mentioned, even though the critter is there. But the other word I should use is neighboring, because the way we're going to find or get those resources is, you'll notice at the top and bottom of every card, there are some resources printed. All of the blue resources start showing on the front, and then as you upgrade into the succulents or grow into the succulents, you'll also start unlocking these green resources. Now we do start with one of each of 2 of these green resources at the start of the game. But for the most part, in order to activate anything that requires a green resource, I will have already needed to flip some things over. And the way this is going to work is, these cards are going to slide up and down, and the resources sort of exist in the row between the cards. So for example, if these 2 cards were in this position, I would have access to 2 of this sort of cube-shaped resource. Likewise, if this had slid down to the bottom like this, I would have access to 2 of this sort of water drop resource. So on my turn, I'm getting to move up to 2 cards. Each space up or down costs 1 action. And again, the shift action is I can take any card and move it as far as I want to in the direction shown by the arrows on the critter card, except that if the critter is in the middle, for example here, and I shifted this, I couldn't go past the critter. The critter always blocks the shift action. But later on, you'll see sometimes swapping or moving. In that case, the critter does not block that movement. So looking at what I've got, 3 cubes. I've got 1 cube here, 1 cube here, and the other cube is over here, which doesn't help because I can only shift right this turn. Here I've got 3 mountains. 1, 2, and 3 is over here, but there's a gap in between, and there's no way for me to get rid of that. Because in order for the resources to activate, they all have to be neighboring each other. It means adjacent in different columns. Lightning bolts I've got here, and all the way over here. And water is here, here, and here. That's what we're going to focus on. So I want to shift this water over here like this. And when you shift, everything slides to make space for it. That's action 1. Action 2, I'm going to slide this up like that, which means now I've got water, water, water. And I can flip this one over to its succulent side. Now I'm not adjacent to a black bottle, so nothing happens there, but it says swap 2 plants in the same row, exchange the exact positions. Now there are 3 rows. It says I have to swap them in the same row, and they have to stay in the row that they're in. So, looking at what I've got next, I've got block here, and block here. But what else do I have? Lightning here, and lightning here could work. We're going to slide that way though. And this is going to swap places with whatever I want to swap, which is sad. Where's the blocks? The blocks are here, here, and here. Yeah, so I'm actually going to swap those 2, and you'll see why in just a second. Swap that and that. That's the end of my turn. Now, this says all plants in the 3 closest columns on the right side are damaged. Damage means everything slides down 1 row. So these 2 are going to slide down like that, which kind of ruins my plan, but you'll see why in a minute. Then these 2, no it doesn't. These 2 swap positions like this. This flips the other way, which means now we can only shift to the left, and also now they're attacking to the left, which is fine because anything that's in the bottom row can't be damaged because it's already in the bottom row. So looking at the cards again, I've got a block here, and a block here. Means I need to slide this one up for my first action, slide this one down for my second action, and now I've got block, 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 which triggers this one, which says shift the plant to a different column on the same side of the critter and place it in the top row. Okay. But at the same time, this activated here, so that's going to flip over. Now, I didn't mention before why that's important. Flipping over the card is going to give you at the very end of the game the ability to take extra up and down move actions. So it's going to be this that lets me push as many of my succulents into the top row as possible to score 2 points each instead of just 1 point each. So I want to flip as many of those as possible. Also, I should point out more specifically, the game ends when this critter gets into the last space. The game is not over yet. You get one additional round. When the critter would move forward and can't because there's a bottle there, this is the end of the game. So I need to shift a plant to a different column on the same side of the critter. It means very likely this side. And I've got a lightning bolt here which is stuck there because I can't get it across the critter. What do we have over here? I've got a seed here. I've got a seed here, but there's no third seed. I've got, where's my waters? Water, water, water. Oh, we already flipped the waters. I need lightning and mountain. And lightning and mountain are both over here. Whoops. Yeah, we got a problem. We have a problem. Means I gotta focus on mountains and lightning bolts. Where, oh where, have the lightning bolts gone? Or mountains. Yeah, I'm gonna swap this one. No, it's not swap, shift. This one here means that slides over, and it says place it in the top row. So that goes there. He's trying to damage this one, he can't. This flips over and moves over means that one goes there like that. I can only shift this way now, which is a problem, because I want to get things on the other side of him. Now, if this stays here, that's fine. It won't go down any further. Over here, I've got 2 lightnings and a mountain. The mountain I'm not focused on right now. Lightning means I want to shift this one to the end because I'm hoping that soon-ish I could activate that mountain. And if I put it there, then it's going to trigger that when it flips. So let's do that as my first move. And then, let's see, this lightning's here. This lightning should stay in the middle if I want it to get to the other side. I'm going to push this one up just so that it comes back down in a second. All right, so that's the end of my turn. He's going to damage these 3 plants. So this one comes to the middle. This one goes all the way down like that. And then it moves over and flips that way, which is sad because this one's going to come down if I don't do anything about it. We're shifting now to the left, which is good. I need to get the other lightning bolt on this side. Means this card, sliding all of these over, is going to place here like that. And then, yeah, if this comes here, this moves down, then they're good. Means getting set up for mountains. This mountain's a problem. It goes up. Where's the other mountain? Here. What's this going to do? Swap the 2 edge plants. Then place 1 in the top row and 1 in the bottom row. That's a problem because mountain and mountain. Except that. Seed, seed. Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, we may end up switching things around in a minute. But I think I'm just going to push this up to save it next round. All right, so then he's damaging here. This goes down 1 like that. And then it switches this way and moves over 1 more like that. All right, so I get to do 2 movements, which, wait a minute, huh? Why did that go there? Oh, of course it did. Then we're not ready for lightning bolts anyway. Grr. I need to shift things the other way, which don't help me right now, so I might as well push things up. Because I can't shift left, means this can't swap over yet. But there's my other mountain too. All right, so I'm just gonna waste a turn. We're in trouble. Hold on. What greens do I have? Nut, nut, nut. leaf, leaf. Yeah, no, I can't yet. This is too hard. All right, these go up. Then nothing happens. He damages both of those and this one. And then this goes here and it flips. All right, now, I really wanted to have this happen here. But that's not going to happen. I need to get rid of this. Oh, that was a mistake. I can't shift now. All right, I'm retconning and I'm an idiot. That goes down one more because I didn't do that. Instead, hold on. I'm undoing that, and I'm sorry that it's cheating, but I had a plan, and the plan was not paying attention because I'm too focused on recording. So he did those. Those were undone. That was my move. Now, realistically, what I want to do is I want to push that over there as one movement, and you'll see why later. And then my second move is to push that up like that. No. Push that down like that. For right now, that's okay. All right, then he does this to all of them. And that might be a mistake, but you'll see why I did it in a second. And it flips and does that. All right, now we're kind of where I want to be. Sorry for the retconning, but I had plans and I wasn't paying attention to them. Now my first action is shifting this one. No. Where's mountains? I mean, not mountains, lightning. Yeah, that's right. Shifting this one here. So that's lightning, lightning, lightning. So I can trigger that. And then it says, it's going to say swap the two edge plants, place one in the top and one in the bottom row. Yeah, that's not going to work yet. Means I'm going to shift this one all the way over here. Like that. Now we do activate lightning, lightning, lightning flips that one over, which says swap the two edge plants. I can't do that. Grr. Nope. Never mind. Never mind, never mind, never mind at all. In that case, let's push something. Yeah, seeds are going to swap. That's a problem. Yeah, okay. Then let's just say something goes up. This one goes up. To save us some time next time, you'll see. Okay, then I am doing this. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I want to swap this one and this one. But it says place one in the top and one in the bottom row. So I think top goes there and bottom goes there. It's not gonna matter. But that looks good. Then this guy damages these three, means that one goes down like that. Flips again and goes the other way. Like that. Shifting right is the only possibility. That is horrible. Well, I'm not undoing anything, but the plan was mountain, 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 but now it's the other side. Oh, that's the worst thing ever. That's the worst thing ever. I think I just lost the game. Yeah, that was really bad. That was really bad. Yeah. Well, the good news is if I push this one up twice, as good as that news can be, then he damages that. They swap. And that means that I can slide this one down that way. Like that, placing that there. I've got this, this, and this in a row means this activates. Swap two plants in different rows, exact same, swap exact positions. Do I have? No. Where are my mountains? Here's a mountain. Here's a mountain. It does work for that. Let's see. Leaf is here. Leaf is, I only have 2 leaves, and I only have 2 of those. How about the squigglies? No. No. Yeah, I'm doing badly. Okay, so we're going to swap to fix the mountains. Means this card and this card are swapping exact positions. Like that. He hurts this one. But the shift is the wrong way. Okay, that's fine. Means he flips this way and slides that over like that. But that's a problem, because I need to use both of my moves to do that. And that's 1, 2, 3, means I don't touch any of these things because that's in the middle. I flip that. So swap 2 neighboring plants and place them both in the middle. Can I line up? No, because that one's not active. These 2 and that one are great, except they need to be up top to trigger that. Both in the middle doesn't work. If this was down one more, it would be perfect, but it's not. Yeah, there's nothing else that I can do. Yeah, nope, that's it. Okay, so those flip, whoops, not flip, switch spots. Would go up there. I don't know if I swapped them, but it's not going to change anything. Because that would be leaf, 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 except that's the wrong spot. He's then attacking over here. There's nothing on this side at all. So that's the end, but that is the end of the game. Fortunately, I only managed to flip over 1 bottle this time. But flipping that bottle back again. Oh, wait a minute. Flipping that bottle back again, darn, means I could move this down and flip that one. Swap 1 edge with 1 non-edge, exact positions. Unfortunately, that doesn't push anybody higher. And changing that from a 0 to a 1 is the same as sliding something up and changing a 1 to a 2. So it doesn't really change anything. So let's just push that guy up, because why not? We go into final scoring. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Worst score I've had yet. And I say worst score because if we take a look at the scoring thresholds, that would be considered a fail. I'm just a lousy dirt farmer, and yep, you lose, which is the first time I've lost the game and the lowest score I've had. I've still only played the game 3 times, so I will be playing it again quite a bit more before I come back with my final thoughts. Taking a look at the components, or in this case, the artwork, because this is a prototype copy, but it is button shy. So as you'd expect, the button shy card quality will be amazing. Their cards are always great. These are prototype cards, which are still nice, but they're not full button shy quality, but that's not the point. Visually, this game is beautiful, but if I understand correctly, the artist on this game is none other than Kwanchai Moria, whose art I love in everything. I think this looks really cool. I love how the bottle starts off as this sort of creepy, dark bottle with this sort of just growing seeds in there, and as you sort of level it up, it becomes this much more beautiful, glowy bottle full of these lovely succulents, right, in their glass jar, glass garden terrarium. Again, all of the flowers, let me turn them over just so you can see them. I love the artwork on all of these succulents. Really, really cool. They do have the Latin names for them all with a little bit of a description about them all. So it's cool because it's also a little bit of a learning thing. The other 3 critters that we didn't see are the ant, the snail, and the fly. The fly doesn't do any damage, so that's kind of like easy mode. The snail damages 1 plant, the closest plant on the right side, and it skips over bottom row plants. And then when it flips, it just switches to the left side. The ant damages the furthest plant on both sides that it can, means not in the bottom row, on both sides furthest, and then when it flips on both sides closest. So it's going out, in as it moves across. The only other thing I can comment on then is the wallet, which as normal, I will throw up right there. Wow, wow, wow. I love the look of this wallet. The green color is cool just because it's an odd color, but the font and the title for this game, the way it just looks really cool. I don't know, it's just very striking, and I really do enjoy the way that the wallet for this game looks. Big fan of the visuals of this game. Now meet me back up top at some point in the future after I've played more of this game, and I'll let you know how I feel about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I did get quite crushed in that game. This is the first and only time that I've ever lost the game completely like that, and I apologize that it was the playthrough you saw on screen, but it should still give you a good idea of how this game plays and also how brutal this game can be at the higher levels of difficulty. Now, the nice thing is, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute, is you can adjust the difficulty a little depending on the insect or the creature that you're playing with every time you play the game. So let's talk about the game itself. This is another solo-only, sort of spatially based card game from Button Shy Games. And I mentioned in the introduction this isn't one of the Scott Alm's simply solo line of games, but it does kind of thematically fit into the same kind of idea that a lot of those have, in that you've sort of got a lineup of cards or a tableau of cards on the playing area that you're manipulating in different ways in order to get sort of make sets of things to cause things to happen that trigger abilities that make other things happen to hopefully then help you get more sets to trigger more things. And you get this sort of cascading effect, spatially based puzzle solving kind of game. Definitely thematically or mechanically fits in with a lot of those games, but I'm going to say that the Scott Alm Simply Solo line, I've enjoyed every game that I've played, but I've never really been super impressed by any of them. They always tend to be a little bit simpler than I like, or not necessarily a puzzle style, a little bit more abstract than I'd like, and so on. This game sort of takes that sort of idea or that core kind of concept and kicks it up one level. This game is quite a bit heavier. There's quite a bit more going on in this game as a solo, spatial-based puzzle kind of game than there are in many of those simply solo line games, and I appreciate that. I like to see that with 18 cards in a simple solo manipulation of cards, resource management, set collection kind of game, that you can get so much done mechanically with only 18 cards. And I'm really, really, really enjoying the design work that has gone into this game. Now, I am sort of back and forth on how I feel about how good the game is or how well the game matches my own personality, and I'll get into that as I go through what I like and what I feel less like about this game. But for the most part, I'm really enjoying it. I appreciate the design work that goes into this game, and it's a really interesting puzzle, right? You're trying to get sets of resources lined up in a line of cards, except that it's not just a line of cards. It is three lines of cards with sort of columns that line up. So every column has a single card that has three basic positions that that card could be in. So it's not just about getting 3 cards in a row. It's about getting 3 cards in a row, but then also having their vertical positioning line up such that the resources on the edges of the cards line up as needed to then activate or flip over the cards to activate or grow the succulent on that card. So the sort of core puzzle is, how do I manipulate these cards to get 3 of them in a row, but also lined up vertically correctly so that I have the resources set to flip over a card? And the way that you're generally doing this is either moving card up and down or shifting cards. And shifting means you can move it as far as you want to in a single direction. And that single direction changes every turn, back and forth. So you can't just keep focusing on sliding things in one direction. You kind of have to pay attention to how many turns is it going to take to get to things that I need to go, because you can only slide in a single direction on any given turn. Which means if you have sort of 2 cards and you want to put something between them and you need to get something out of between them, you have to shift both of those things in the same direction, which makes the puzzle that much more difficult. But then also you've got this insect or this creature that's moving across the board. And what that means is you can never shift past that creature. So you've got this sort of artificial barrier that's moving as the game progresses. So it's not just about getting the things in the right areas or in a row in the right areas. It's also making sure that the things that are in a row are also on the same side of that card, or you won't be able to shift them past that spot. So there are times when I've played this game where I've got this great plan set up, everything looks great, and then the creature steps one forward and flips it, and now guess what? It's on the wrong side of the creature compared to the other two cards of that set, and I can't do anything anymore. So now I've got this puzzle of how to manipulate cards to get them in the right place that's then bothered by this moving barrier as you're playing through the game. But it's not just that either, because there's a couple more things that are going on here. Number one is that every time you activate one of these cards, every time you flip to the succulent side of one of these cards, it triggers some kind of ability that has to be taken care of, which means that sometimes that ability is great because instead of just shifting cards, which won't go past that barrier, you're sometimes swapping cards or moving cards so that that allows you to jump over that barrier. So you can set things up so that it does jump to the other side and then sets up another sort of combo of resources to flip another card. Or you might swap something so that it's in a different place so that when that barrier moves, when that creature moves, it then swaps to the other side, and then you can manipulate it so that it does build, again, another set of resources to flip another card. But that ability triggering may not always be the thing you want to happen. Maybe you've got something set up here and something set up here, but when you trigger this, the ability causes this thing to not be set up anymore. And then you have to pay attention to the order of the things that you're doing. And it's not just about flipping those abilities or using those abilities that determines the order of things, but also there are two different colors of resources, blue and green. And blue is always there from the beginning, but the green resource is on the other side of some of the cards. Some of the green resources you start with one of, some of them zero of, and the rest of them are on the succulent side of the card, which means I need to plan to get as many of those blue things done before I start getting the green things done so that I have enough of the resources to even consider getting the green things done. So that adds another layer of order to things on top of this moving barrier, on top of the order that these abilities are triggering in. But then all of this is sort of working towards flipping the succulents. And why am I flipping the succulents? Well, I'm flipping the succulents so that I can score points at the end of the game. And the more points I have, the better my sort of score threshold is at the end of the game. It means the better I do in my win at the end of the game. Or loss in the case of the playthrough you just saw. But it's not just about flipping to the succulents. Remember, there are 3 spaces vertically in each of these columns. And to score the most points, I need the succulent in the top column. Because the middle and bottom, top row of a column. Because the middle and bottom rows score 1 point, but a succulent in the top row scores 2 points. So I want to flip as many succulents as I can and push as many of them up to the top as possible. But pushing up is one of the actions, and I only get 2 actions per turn. And that action could be push up, push down, or shift. But so if I'm focused on swapping things and moving things around to get these resources lined up the right way they need to be lined up, then I'm not spending the actions to push things up. And it becomes doubly challenging because every time the creature moves, just before the creature moves, it's damaging some of my plants. And damaging means sliding down 1 row. So if they're constantly sliding down, then I need to keep pushing them up if I want to get any of those 2-point scores. And that is another layer of this puzzle. Not only how do I get these things flipped, not only do I get these abilities to reorder things to help flip more things, but now some of those abilities will let me swap things and put them in different locations, hopefully putting them higher, which means that hopefully I get more things up towards the end of the game, which means then I get more points. And then there's one final layer on top of it is the glass jar itself. This is a sort of terrarium of succulents inside a glass jar. And if I can flip a succulent next to a glass jar piece that hasn't been flipped yet, then that flips over as well because of the adjacency. When the succulent flips, the glass jar flips as well. And those glass jars then are going to, at the very end of the game, after I'm done playing, allow a couple more vertical movements, which might allow me to flip a few more succulents at the end of the game, which triggers new abilities, which might allow me to flip more succulents, but ultimately also is going to help me push things up at the end of the game and get scores for being up in the second row of any given column. So there's a whole lot going on here about this manipulation puzzle of getting resources in a row, and then flipping succulents, and then using the ability of succulents to help manipulate things, trying to get things up while the insect keeps pushing things down, dealing with this moving sort of artificial barrier of the insect as it moves across the board, trying your best to flip succulents on the edges of the board whenever possible. And all of this together makes for a very interesting and very fulfilling puzzle. So then why do I say that this game is kind of iffy for me? When I say it's iffy, I think this is a great game. I think it's very well designed. The problem for me with this game is this game requires quite a bit of long-term strategy. And I'm the kind of player that generally plays a more tactical game. I don't like to think several turns ahead. I like to look maybe one or two at most turns ahead. And I like to deal with the situation that I have at any given time. And while that works a little bit here, it's definitely the kind of game that if you are good at seeing the future, if you are good at looking 3 or 4 turns ahead and figuring out how all of the cascading stuff ties into each other, you're going to do much better at this game. For me, the game ends up feeling a little bit more random than it should because I'm looking at it tactically and I'm not seeing the big picture sometimes. And so I reorganize things that make it look like something good is happening. Means I reorganize things to get something done the next turn, but there may have been something else I could have done to set up something that doesn't happen next turn, but then make multiple things happen on the following turn, and I don't do well at looking that far forward. So if you are somebody who is more of a strategic gamer and does like looking into the future and setting up this plan of sort of moving gears and mechanisms that interlock with each other to sort of set up a big turn in the future, this game is one that's going to be absolutely great for you because, again, the design here, the ideas here are really clever and really interesting, and I love how everything works in the game. It just is more of a struggle for me than it should be, I think, and this is one that I'll continue to play, but it's not going to be one that I'm rushing to grab off the shelf just because it hurts my brain in just a little bit of a different way than I generally tend to like. I hope that this video was helpful for you. Remember, this video is going to be launching on Kickstarter in mid-November. I'll put the link to the Kickstarter in the description down below so you can go and have a look for yourself if you are interested. As always, I hope that this video was helpful for you. If it was, I do ask, as always, that you like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.